or anything like that. But based on multiple conversations that I've had, it does seem like the most likely scenario is that Kelsey Plum would move on from the Aces.
Can you believe the Las Vegas Aces are going through this? You won't believe how bad things have gotten for the former champions. It all began with Kelsey Plum refusing to sign that contract extension, but that's only the beginning. Now, Aya Wilson is furious. The locker room is a war zone, and Coach Becky Hammon appears to be using a water gun to put out a 5-alarm fire. Stay put because we're going to reveal everything about this Vegas breakdown.
When it comes to somebody like Kelsey Plum, she's coming off a difficult personal year, and she's emphasized that she wants to take time for herself, which is why she said that she pulled out of Unrivaled. So we're not necessarily in the position to, with respect to what she said, to ask her directly, and that would be the best indicator here. But of course, like you mentioned my reporting, like I can pull and cite a few quotes that kind of imply that, the same way that Satu said that she's working with the Dallas organization, that's been the implication, that the Aces are working to find a situation where, quote unquote, everybody is happy, which is exactly what Becky Hammon said to me about a month ago in regards to Kelsey Plum's situation.
Can you believe what Kelsey Plum did? She lighted the fire on a powder keg that is going to explode the Las Vegas Aces sky high. Let's examine why Plum's choice is so significant. Plum didn't simply refuse to sign a contract extension. Recall the time when the Aces Core 4 made them unstoppable. Now, it's like seeing a championship puzzle come apart piece by piece.
What's been a little surprising, and I think why there's so much conversation, at least from what I'm seeing, about Kelsey Plum, is that during the season when the rest of the core Aces, the other, they're the core 4, Asia, Chelsea, Jackie Young, and Kelsey Plum. So when her other 3, counterparts, they signed extensions, she did not.
Why would Plum leave a winning team, you ask? Well, this is where things start to get interesting. Plum is seeking a new beginning after a difficult personal year, but is there more to the story? Her numbers remain remarkable. Hold on to your seats because the Golden State Valkyries are prepared to make it rain with their $1.2 million in cap space. They're not just waving cash around, they have a secret weapon that might just seal the deal. 17.8 points per game, 4.2 assists, and shooting 42% from the field are numbers that make any team drool.
Well, but what I do think is interesting is that there is a team that will be coming to the league this year, the Golden State Valkyries, and a part of me just kind of feels like that might be a fresh start for Kelsey Plum if she does decide that she wants to move on from the Aces. To me, it gives them an opportunity to have a great perimeter scorer, which we know that Kelsey Plum is, but it also will add a little bit of familiarity for her because the new head coach was the former assistant coach in Las Vegas, and I think that that could also be something that plays well where you're getting a new environment and you're getting a new experience, but you're also still working with someone who knows you and knows you well, so you get a bit of the best of both worlds.
The Valkyries head coach, Natalie New York, and Plum have a long history together. We're speaking at 6 in the morning. All things considered, Pilates classes are the kind of relationship that could help Plum feel completely at home in New Jersey. Finding a team where she fits in like a glove is more important than the money.
To me, that's like the most intriguing destination for Kelsey. I totally understand the fit. You mentioned like perimeter scoring for the Valkyries, and they'll absolutely need that. But I think also she brings like this, veteran championship mentality that Natalie Nakaze has emphasized that she wants to cultivate in the Golden State. And so to me, that would just be knock out of the park. And they have the room to do it. They're just building their roster. Cap space is not going to be a problem. So that stands out to me, definitely.
But hold on, there's more. In addition to the Valkyries, there are rumors of a possible sign-and-trade agreement with the Chicago Sky. It's like a high-stakes game of poker, with Plum having all the cards.
From the Aces, you mentioned that she did not sign an extension, and former general manager Natalie Williams told me before she and the Aces parted ways that, Kelsey was offered an extension and declined.
When Plum leaves, you're undoubtedly wondering what will happen to the rest of the team. Well, coach, it's not looking good. Becky Hammon is making an effort to remain composed, but it's clear that she's being cautious as she discusses Plum's value to the squad while still giving her room to work things out. It's like seeing a coach try to defuse a bomb while wearing oven mitts. You know how AA. Wilson frequently discusses commitment and team devotion, and those terms are beginning to sound rather now that the playoffs are approaching and tensions are high. let's examine what's actually happening with AA. She is not just upset. She is fuming, and it's not just about losing games. What does AA do? She gets into a heated argument with her teammates during a pivotal series.
Us as black women, age reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege and, like, pushes her over the top, in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. That's...
You may be wondering now if it was just the heat of the moment, but this is where things start to get interesting. Aya has been expressing her annoyance, and she is criticizing the entire team rather than just one player. While AA is busy blaming others, the superstar is claiming that her colleagues aren't doing their share of the work. The team is disintegrating more quickly than a lousy pair of sneakers. Her intense energy demands are causing a rift in the locker room. Although some players are excited by her enthusiasm and supportive, others are feeling the pressure, and not in a positive manner. It's like witnessing a pressure cooker about to blow up.
I just have a very hard time imagining the Las Vegas Aces without that core four. They were all drafted there, right? I mean, they were all drafted there. And so, I mean, look, as a Warriors fan, losing Klay Thompson, I can sort of relate to this, but that would be quite a blow for a team like Vegas. They came up together. They won 2 championships together.
You may be wondering, what about AA's performance? She's still dominating on the court, but something's wrong. It's like watching a queen try to control a kingdom that's slipping through her fingers. The pressure of leading the team and serving as the franchise's face is mounting, and you can see it in every game and every angry outburst. Assessing her weight.
I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna try to be the best. I get y'all saying best player in the world. That's great, it looks great. But I wanna be the best person. I wanna be the best teammate, because that's how I get the best out of my team.
Remember how the foundation was collapsing under the strain when the Aces were riding high and unstoppable? The squad has been coasting on previous victories, and now reality is hitting hard. It's as if they've been living in a Vonga's fantasy where the house always wins in the end. But here's the real shocker. A's frustration isn't just a personal problem, it's a symptom of something much broader. It's like seeing a celebrity burn down in real time, and you can't help but wonder if she can turn it around. Not only is she losing games, but she's losing the exact thing that made her great, her leadership. The lady who once cheered her team on is now the one creating friction.
And something else interesting to me is that the Aces seem like they have a lot of decisions to make, and they haven't replaced their GM. And I was reading, your reporting, and I saw all this we're making decisions by committee, which I found curious. How long is that going to go on for?
You may be thinking that a coach like Becky Hammon can make things better, but this is where things get really interesting. Remember when she was at the top of the world, popping champagne and basking in championship glory? Well, those days are long gone, and now Hammond is trapped in a nightmare that is making her championship ring feel more like a pair of brass knuckles. Not only is Hammond angry, but she's also disappointed. And in the world of sports, that's like your mother telling you that she had higher expectations of you.
I know that when I spoke to Becky last month, it was unclear. I requested to interview Natalie Williams recently, and the Aces declined. So obviously this is something that they don't want to talk about right now. But to me, it seems quite unlikely that they're going to even make a hire. And I know that it feels like they're trying to leave that up in the air. That's what Becky Hammon tried to, I think, imply. And when I've spoken to Nikki Fargas, team president.
Can you picture the annoyance? Although her player's game is collapsing more quickly than a house of cards in a Vegas windstorm, Hammond is still watching them walk around like celebrities. Let's examine what Hammer is actually dealing with. The Aces are in complete disarray. Only 6 players have contracts for the upcoming season, and the general manager, key assistant coaches, and coaches have left. It's like attempting to run a 5-star restaurant with only a microwave and a can opener. But here's the worst part. In her own words, Hammond dropped a bombshell that is upending the very foundation of the Aces empire. She claimed that her players were distracted by commercials, celebrities, and other things, and that it wasn't just a coach venting, it was a full-on SOS call. In essence, she was saying, hey, remember basketball, that's what we're supposed to be playing. It's as if her players exchange their playbooks for Instagram filters.
And you look at their unrestricted free agents, like we've already talked about Kelsey Plum, but what about Tiffany Hayes and Alicia Clark and Sydney Colson? Like those are people that, feel so important to this team, and all of that is kind of just in flux right now. So you would hope to see some decisions soon, and I guess that's what this time is all about.
But hold on, it gets even stranger. Without a proper support system, Hammond is navigating this mess. Committees are making decisions, which is about as effective as trying to parallel park a bus while wearing a blindfold. You have to wonder how she's going to keep the team focused when the organization is more disorganized than a buffet in Vegas.
There's so much change facing this team. We talked about Nala Nakaze leading the Golden State Valkyries, but then we also have Tyler Marsh gone to, take the helm at the Chicago Sky. No general manager. I'm told that the assistant coaching staff might not even be complete. Like we might hear of another hire soon, which is, I'm trying to kind of navigate in my mind how that would look, because right now they already have 3 assistants. So a lot is changing, and they also only have 6 players under contract for this upcoming season.
Now, you may be wondering if there is still hope for the Aces. However, Hammond is not giving up just yet. Instead, she is pushing her team to examine themselves critically. She says, "We really need to take a sharp look at ourselves. Look at ourselves in the mirror and see our shortcomings, and then you got to make the moves necessary to put the best product that we possibly can."
Yeah, Becky also, I think she made the statement, something along the lines like, it's just not, like, we're not going to look the same that we've looked in the past, right? Which makes total sense, right? Again, as I just said, you kind of in your mind have this idea that teams are always going to look the way they look, and the reality is that's just not possible.
That's Hampton's way of saying shape up or ship out. She's not just talking about changing a few plays or adding extra drills. When a coach starts talking about making necessary moves, you can bet that some players will be packing their bags. So, while the Aces are busy imploding, there's a team in Indiana that's quietly preparing something delicious. You might be wondering why Indiana matters when Vegas is collapsing, but here's where it gets really interesting. The Fever isn't just building a team. They're creating a dynasty that could make the Aces look like yesterday's news, and the best part is that they're doing it right in front of everyone.
There's a huge amount of gratitude, I would say, to Lynn Dunn and to Allison Barber for everything that they did to kind of stabilize and get things pointed in the right direction as well. Those are some tough years. You don't get 2 number 1 picks in the draft by having a great team and great years. You go through some peaks and valleys. So I really feel like we're poised and we're set up for a great, successful next era of Fever basketball.
Let's examine what makes the Fever so unique. They are too busy assembling a roster that is poised to surprise the league to make headlines over locker room turmoil or Twitter feuds. You may be asking how the Fever can compete with the Aces' star power. Hold on tight, because this is where things start to get crazy. The front office of Fever is making moves that are making people take notice throughout the league. Kelly Sneer Cox, Amber. Stephanie White as the Aces grapple with their soap opera. The Fever are carefully assembling a team that could rule for years to come, and these legends are building a dynasty in plain sight.
Amber and I and Kelly are just talking about, players and evaluations before we came out here, and building quality depth is going to be important. When you have a core 3 like we have, surrounding them with players who are going to, fill the roles, certainly, first and foremost, who are going to embrace the roles, secondly, and who give us the best opportunities for success by complementing what they do really, really well.
Can you believe that this squad is genuinely more concerned with basketball than drama? The best part is that Caitlin Clark, the superstar who is revolutionizing the game, is at the heart of it all. Not only is Clark talented, but she is also redefining what it means to be a WNBA player. Her shooting range, leadership, and SP vision are all examples of how basketball is developing right before our eyes. Imagine this. As the Aces are attempting to decide who will even be on their roster for the upcoming season, the Fever is fostering a culture that players genuinely want to be a part of, one free of locker room drama and Twitter feuds. They seem to have figured out how to create a successful team without all the bullshit. It's just classic basketball.
The future is so bright, and our ultimate goal is to hang another banner in the field house. And our ultimate goal is to come back in here after we win that championship and celebrate again like we did in 2012. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. Really excited, really looking forward to this, and can't wait to get started.
The thing is that they're playing the long game and aren't just throwing money at stars and hoping it works out. Instead, they are developing young talent, creating a system that works, and building something sustainable. Let's take a moment to discuss that system. You may be asking yourself, okay, but can they really compete with the big market teams? Instead of depending solely on Clark to carry them, the Fever are surrounding her with players who enhance her abilities. It's like witnessing the perfect basketball symphony come to life, as each player plays a part and supports the team-first philosophy.
I am so incredibly honored, so humbled, so thankful, grateful, and excited to lead this franchise and taking it to another level. You know, you've got incredibly talented players right here in Caitlin and Aaliyah and Lexi, a team that was incredibly fun to watch, very tough to game plan against. So I'm glad I'm going to get to work with you guys, work with you ladies, instead of having to think about how to stop you.
However, this is what actually makes the Fever unique. The WNBA is like watching a high-stakes game of musical chairs, but with million-dollar contracts and Twitter drama, and now here's where it gets really interesting. While the Aces are falling apart faster than a house of cards in a Vegas windstorm, the Indiana Fever are quietly creating something special. They are hungry, they're not resting on past glories, and they're out there proving themselves. It's that underdog mentality that makes them so dangerous.
This is a place where players can come and get better and be surrounded by an organization that supports you, where they're going to have everything they need to be successful.